Okay, I've just come back from a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu lesson with my coach Chino, a one-to-one session. And at the end of the session, I asked him how long it would take me to become a blue belt. And he said it would take me about a year to 2 years to become blue belt. So I asked him, what, if I'm doing like 3 or 4 sessions a week and doing it one-to-one, would it still take me a year to 2 years? He goes, no. If I was to do it like this, like 3-4 sessions intensely, most people do it once or twice a week. So if I was to do 3-4 sessions and do them one-to-one, it'd probably take me 2 months. So instead of 1 to 2 years, which is like a standard, in his estimation, right? I mean, he's a brown belt himself. He's not a black belt. He's kind of like, brown belt is someone who's been doing it for about typically like 6, 7, 8 years. So in his estimation, it would just take me 2 months. Now think about that. Now that's his opinion, right? It doesn't mean it's definitely going to take me 2 months, but that's his kind of like, he's been doing this for years. And it's probably not, he's probably not far off. I mean, I thought it probably, if I was to do that intensely, I don't know much about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I thought it'd probably take me 3 months if it normally takes someone 1 to 2 years, right? So what does that kind of like show you? It shows you that if kids, for example, do their work intensely, they can do their finish do what they want to do much, much, much quicker. But that's exactly what my kids have just done, right? So everyone's calling them a genius. All they've done is, instead of doing the classes like everyone else, i.e. 1 to 2 years to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they've done the intense version. And the intense version means you do it, according to my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach, he's saying we'd do it 9 times quicker. That's his estimate. If you take 18 months, the average, 1 to 2 years, and he's basically saying if you do it intensely, it's going to take 2 months. That's 9 times quicker on average. So imagine you have a class, and everyone does classes in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They do it twice a week, and everyone does it like in 1.5 years, 1 to 2 years. Everyone gets to kind of like blue belt in 1 to 2 years. So everyone does this. This is the standard. And imagine someone goes, hold on a minute, I'm going to pull myself out of this and do it intensely and do it privately. So I have one-to-one tuition. So I do it at my own, I kind of like learn at my own pace, exactly the pace I want. I get lessons specifically for my pace. And then I do more intensely, right? 3 to 4 times a week. And this person then gets to blue belt in 2 months. What's everyone going to think? If they don't realize the power of the technique, they're going to think, wow, this guy's a genius. Well, that's all that's happening with my kids to a large extent, right? And it really does, to me, this is just another example. I mean, I think what I'm saying resonates with most people. People do think, yeah, I mean, if you do something intensely, you're going to learn it much, much, much quicker. Because when you do something intensely, you don't forget. So if you do something twice a week, or let's say once a week, right? So a lot of the beginning of the next lesson is going to be going back, remembering the stuff of the previous lesson, and you've kind of forgotten most of it. But if you do, let's say, something every day, the time you have between each lesson is a lot less, and you basically just build on a lot more. And then you're doing a lot more lessons on top of that. And that's why my kids, for example, the 2 elder ones, did their physics GCSE and A-level in total in about a year. They did it in 5 months and a bit of a gap, and then another 5 months, but they did it in a year in total. They did the GCSE and A-level in a year, both of them. The 13-year-old who is not particularly good at physics, and Danielle, the younger one. So they did it when she was they did this when they were 12, the elder one, and 10. They did it, basically in a year. And I did the same physics starting at the age of roughly 8 and finished when I was 18, roughly like 10, 11 years. I spent 10, 11 years doing what they did in a year, which is actually the same kind of ratio. But that is the power of homeschool. Schools really underestimate the importance of studying intensely or doing anything intensely. So just for example, the way we were taught sport at my school was we'd play rugby for 1 term, then we'd play hockey for the next term, and then we'd do cricket the next term, and then we'd repeat. and how anyone can be fantastic at a sport when you're not doing it for 2/3 of the year is just mind-boggling. And that's one of the reasons why my son is so good at football, because he just played football all year round while he was in Malaysia, grew up, and he's at a level, I mean, in sport that I never achieved. So he's like a really, really high level kind of like, I mean, he plays at, club level football, very high level, like way beyond first team kind of like, school, like way beyond that. And at 18, he's like in an adult league playing football. He's about to give up to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But the point is that he's got to a high level by just playing it relatively intensely. I mean, if you think about it, I've probably played more squash or as much squash as the junior squash world champion in terms of hours, right? So if I was to play the junior world squash champion, I would literally struggle to get a point. I probably wouldn't be able to get a point. I mean, he can always make a mistake, but yeah, I mean, it absolutely trounced me. But I probably played, in terms of hours, more squash. So why am I not even like nearly as good? Okay, I'm not naturally super gifted when it comes to sport. I'm not bad either, but I'm definitely not kind of like gifted when it comes to sport. But the main reason is that I haven't done it intensely. If you do something intensely, i.e., what I mean by intensity is that if I do, let's say 1,000 hours, let's say this golden 10,000 hour rule, which is a load of rubbish, by the way, but I'll probably discuss that in some other video. But let's say I was to do 10,000 hours of squash, right? If I was to do that over 3 years, I would be so much better than if I did it over, let's say, 30 years, right? And that is a really important, powerful thing. So it's better to have lessons intensely. And that's what schools really massively miss out on. And you know what? The weird thing is that kids know this. We all know the power of intensity. And I knew the power of intensity back at university when I bummed around for literally 2 years, and I did very well because at the end of the day, I worked super intensively in my final year, which is the year that that's where the only exams that counted in my degree were in the final year. And all kids do this. Kids bum around at school all the time, and the real time they actually learn is right at the end when they cram in stuff and they work intensely. So we all know this. We all know we all know how important intensity is in study, in sport, in anything you want to learn. I mean, if you want to learn a language, I mean, look at French. Look at my French. I can't speak French, and I don't know how many. I've learned it for literally 12, 13 years. I've been married to a French woman. Because I've never done it intensely. You get these, when I went to Malaysia, you get these Bengali workers who came over, and within 3-4 months, they're speaking fluent Bahasa Malaysia, right? The language there. They're speaking it in 3-4 months, and yet I couldn't learn French in 15 years. Yeah, fine, I'm not great at languages, but am I that stupid? Am I that ridiculous stupid? No. Well, I probably am in some ways, but I'm not that stupid, right? The reason these Bengali guys do it is because they when they land in Malaysia, they frigging need to speak Bahasa Malaysia, and if they don't, they're not going to understand what the hell's going on, so they're learning intensely. And that is the power of intensity. And I think what I'd suggest is, this is a really massively powerful concept, the power of intensity. I only now learn things intensely. That's the only thing, because for example, I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm trying to have a lesson every day, right? Because I know that if I do a lesson every day, it's going to be way more powerful. That one lesson, this is an important thing, the one lesson is going to be far more effective than if I do a lesson every week, right? Or twice a week. So that's why I'm trying to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu intensely. My view now in life, right, is learn with intensity or just don't bother. There's just no point. If you're going to learn something, learn with intensity. And that's what all my kids have done. They've learned with intensity and they've reaped massive, massive, massive rewards from it, to the point that I can't convince the world that they're not geniuses. Great. It's fantastic. That helps them, right? And I suggest if you want your own kids to do that, they should do the same thing. Learning with intensity is one of the most powerful concepts out there. Schools completely, utterly ignore this whole concept. It is completely deranged how stupid most schools are when it comes to this concept. And the fact that, doing cricket one term, then rugby one term, then hockey, and forgetting all about cricket for two terms. It's the most stupid way. I mean, I know it's the best way to expose, right? I got that. It's a way to expose to sports. But I think the better way, far better, is the way Daniel did it. He chose a sport relatively early on and became damn good at it, and just kind of like so benefited from it, right? Yeah, he doesn't have to be one sport. You could do two sports, but doing one sport, giving up, doing another sport, then giving up, then doing another sport and giving up again, and then starting the same sport again. And it actually goes even worse. I think in senior school they changed the sport. So I think they stopped. I can't remember. They did hockey, but hockey they stopped. I can't remember what they changed it to. Whatever. It's basically unbelievable. Schools are completely oblivious to this whole concept of intensity, but it is this very concept which is the key to academic success. And the amazing thing is, kids already know this because they practice it themselves. They do this themselves. When they do, they're cramming their revision. They're just using the intensity principle to the extent they can. But the most stupid thing in the UK, and this is like unforgivable, in the UK they make you do, for the GCSEs there's like 9-10 subjects. What we did is we made our kids do 1 or 2 or 3 subjects at a time. The most stupid thing that schools do, and every headmaster or headmistress in the UK should be shot dead if they do this, which is pretty much every headmaster and headmistress in the UK. They make their kids do all of their GCSEs at the same time, which is literally 10 papers in the same 1 or 2 month period, which it is mad. The fact that schools do this is just beyond any. It's like it is if the teacher, if the headmaster, headmistress wanted their kids to do as badly as possible, this is exactly what they'd make their students do.